Today, we have another epic adventure. It's the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X versus the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Which is better when the going gets tough? We're gonna find out right now on Driving Sports TV. We are back for another off-road shootout. Today, I'll be driving the 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. Now, this is Nissan's rough and ready off-road mid-size truck. It comes standard with all-terrain tires, 17-inch alloy wheels. It has red recovery hooks in the front. It also has skid plates on the underside to protect the soft bits. In the back, we have a locking differential, and on all four corners, we have Bilstein off-road suspension.
And the competition for today is the 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. Now this one does have skid plates like that one, bigger all-terrain tires. Let's see, a 2.5-inch Fox shock TRD tuned suspension, so I think that's going to hold up a little bit better than that one. Rear locking differential in the back, and most importantly in these off-road situations, MTS and crawl control, which I think is definitely going to outshine anything the Pro-4X has to offer, so we'll see.
There are no buttons on this for any off-road programs. However, based on my review earlier, they kick in automatically. It's pretty obvious to see that for 2022, Nissan has done their homework. This is almost spec for spec the same as the Toyota, except it's better in two very distinct categories. First off, the engine, it's bigger and more powerful. It also has a 9-speed automatic transmission versus the Toyota's 6-speed. So is that going to make a difference in the real world? We're going to find out right now. This is going to be cool. I really like that Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, but the issue with it is really comfort. I just don't feel like I fit very well. I know I've said that a lot if you've watched my other reviews. This one, Nissan, my knees are below my hips, which is kind of where they should be. My head is not hitting the roof. I have lots of width here. This is just a more comfortable position. Now, neither of these vehicles have a telescoping wheel, which is kind of a miss. This one only tilts. Same for the Toyota.
All right, you know, I was in this last comparison, so I feel like I have a little bit of an advantage, but I think they're pretty evenly matched. I don't know. I think the only thing that's gonna hold that thing up, if we do find spots where we can test it, is the side running steps. They have those little Nerf bars on there. And like he was saying, he was testing it the other day, and they're catching on everything. So we'll see how it does today. I hope we can find some crawly bits where we can actually test out these off-road systems.
So I am all set here. I'm gonna be running point because I'm running GPS coordinates. I always travel with a GPS communicator, and this will actually let me send messages if we get into very much trouble. So even though we're off grid today, we're always connected with satellites. And I'm running my maps up here so that I can see what's going on, again, all off grid. So I think this is gonna be fun. Now on the drive in here, we actually did measure what our economy was because it was 120 miles to get to the start of the course. And let's see what we had here. So the Nissan, this one averaged 18 miles to the gallon on 124.2 miles of transit. That one measured 18.7. Now it's really funny that the built-in system, this one actually said 18.5, so it was more accurate. The Toyota, way more conservative, said it was closer to around 16, but in fact, the Toyota did better. However, this was a more enjoyable drive because the automatic transmission isn't searching all over Kingdom Come to try to find a gear when going up hills. The Toyota, it's kind of a problem. Right, so I'm ready to go. I think we're gonna head out and explore this leg of the BDR. I've never done this leg. I have no idea what we're gonna see today.
Although I think the Nissan Frontier Pro-4X is a pretty incredible car, especially coming from Nissan, who's known for building kind of mundane, boring cars. That's a pretty cool truck, I have to say. But is it better than this? That's what we're gonna find out today. One way I do think it is better already is I drove it for about 5 miles yesterday on road, not off road, but on road, and it's worlds better than this Toyota Tacoma could be in this configuration. the transmission in this Tacoma, I know it's on its way out and there's a new generation of this Tacoma coming out soon. This transmission's still just crap. I mean, it's so bad. And that has the 9-speed compared to this 6-speed. It's incredible in comparison. And the engine's a little bit more powerful the way they tuned it. The drivability on the road's a lot better. So I do have to say that has a 1-up on this on-road. We did have to drive a lot of on-road to get here, but we are off-road now, and that's what matters. So we're gonna see which vehicle is best, and I hope that we can actually test out these systems that these cars have. We have MTS crawl control. That doesn't have any special trick little things that you can dial in. It's all automatic. It does have a rear locker, 4 low, 4 high, things like that. But this does have a little bit more gizmos and gadgets. So we're gonna see which one's better today, and I hope that we can find some crawly bits where we can really put these to the test.
Now, I have driven both these vehicles, and I think that they both have 9.4 inches of ground clearance, which is really good. They both are very similar in almost all specifications. The Toyota has a slightly better approach angle, so that's a win on that one. This one, however, is so comfortable while cruising. I loved the drive out here. It was phenomenal. So the biggest issue with going into these backcountry routes is finding the road that gets you to where you want to go. It's not always visually apparent. There's going to be all these little spurs that are cutting off, and one of them might get you where you want to go, and the other might get you on the wrong side of a mountain. So you always have to be really careful. And so I do recommend always using some form of offline mapping system. It doesn't really matter if it's like, with a GPS communicator necessarily, although I do highly recommend it.
So I've been seeing this comparison a lot between the Frontier Pro-4X and the Tacoma TRD Pro. Reason being is they look so similar. They're like pretty much the same layout, same bed size. I think the Frontier does have a little bit longer wheelbase, but I mean, it's practically the same car at a certain extent. Now we're gonna see today if that is the case off-road. I do have to say that on paper, this is gonna kick the butt of that Frontier Pro-4X. This does have TRD tuned Fox 2.5-inch shocks, which are quite a bit larger than those.
This truck has Bilsteins. This is similar to what you would find in a TRD off-road version of the Tacoma, because that also comes with Bilsteins. I don't know if they're the exact same shock or if they're similar. I just don't know. But I will say that this feels springier. So what we're gonna look for throughout this adventure is how well the Toyota keeps the tires planted on the ground. I'm not just talking about like off camber or big articulation moments, but I'm talking just like even over bumps. I believe the Toyota is probably going to keep its tires pressed to the ground more readily than this vehicle. However, not entirely sure. That's just theoretical on my part. Now, this leg of the BDR starts at a little township called Nile, Washington. Yep, as in, the Nile. And it's going to take us all the way to Ellensburg. But between here and that final destination, never driven this. No idea what we're getting today. So we're doing this in early June, and this is the perfect time of year to do it. It's been really moist, so the flowers are all in bloom, the grass is green, it's really quite beautiful. In about a month, this will all be dead. It just will be, because this is the dry side of the state. It's a little bit of altitude. We're probably about 2,000, 3,000 feet. Yeah, doing pretty good. Let's see how Nick's doing. How you doing back there, Nick?
Smooth riding back here. How's it going up there?
Yeah, you get a little dusty back there. You catching my dust?
Well, I'm good. I got the recirc going on the AC, and I'm just having a good time talking to my camera back here.
So I'm noticing that my suspension here is a little on the bouncy side. What would you say about the Toyota suspension?
I mean, it's definitely not great. It's not. I don't think it's going to be as bad as yours. These shocks are pretty dialed in for this type of terrain. Now, at low speeds, it doesn't really matter, but on roads like this where there's washboard and the potholes, I definitely think this suspension's better. I'm not really feeling a whole lot of it. I feel it, but it's not hurting my back like it must be yours.
The one thing I will say is that these seats are more comfortable, so they kind of compensate for the springiness of the vehicle. I'm cradled in a nice bed of feathers here, metaphorically.
That does have Bilsteins, and this has the Fox shocks, and these are 2.5-inch. Now, when you first hop in the trucks and you start driving on a road like this, you might not feel a difference, but when the difference comes into play is after driving on these roads for a long time and that oil inside the shock starts to heat up. Now, reason being is there's these tiny little plates inside of the shock. It's called valving, and there's oil that runs through those, and so let's say a plate has 4 holes compared to 5, the 4 holes are going to be stiffer than the 5 holes because there's less oil flowing through it. Hence, there's more resistance. So when that oil heats up and gets thin, it flows faster and you have less compression or less compression control.
Okay, we're starting to slip a little bit because of the slant and it's getting a little uneven here, so I'm going to stop the vehicle and switch it into 4 high. This is really easy. I just flick it into 4 high. I don't have to go into neutral or anything, but I will have to switch into neutral if I'm going to go into 4 low. Let's see how this does. Now I know that this system will automatically engage individual wheel braking in addition to offering, of course, a rear locker when I'm in 4 low, but I'm kind of curious what 4 high will do for me. Now this isn't like hard at all. This is, but it will, I would be slipping all over the place in 2-wheel drive. So it made sense to switch into 4 high there. Okay, yeah, making easy work of it. That's the thing with roads like this, is that you don't really know what's around the next corner. You can have a complete washout. You just don't know. Not enough people go up this road on a regular basis, and the Park Service isn't always the fastest to respond. Look at our course here. It looks like we're going to be basically hugging this ridge for quite a while. Ridge top views are the best. Hello? Oh, look at that view! Oh yeah, that's awesome. Nice. I definitely would not want to do this run in the snow. Woo! Now we have to be careful of big ditches. Now I've been driving this truck probably about, let's see, we left the office at about 9 o'clock this morning. Actually a little bit before that. So I've been driving for at least 4 hours. I'm pretty comfortable. The seat feels great. It's a little on the flat side, but the cushioning is good. No complaints actually about comfort here so far. Now we have a bunch of roads splitting off here. This is where having navigation is a good thing. Staying on the main line. Let's see, hopefully this is the right road. Sometimes hard to tell. Splash. Whoa. There is something I want to make very clear here. Washington is not unique in having amazing driving roads and off-road routes within hours of a major city. It's pretty common, actually. Most of the western states have some form of, which way do I go here? Most western states have some form of off-road BDR or off-road trail. Not most states, but most of the western states and even some of the East Coast states. So definitely look it up to see if there's something in your area. I think I'm supposed to go to the right. Kind of hard to tell because one of these roads doesn't exist. I'm guessing it's probably this one, but at the very least, we'll get an epic view from on top. I really do hope that this road actually reconnects. I'm just guessing so far. It looks like it does on the map. Now, if I wanted to, I could zoom in on the map a little bit closer. Ooh, yeah, oof. I always like these off-cambers right next to a cliff. That's always a good feeling. It's not. Oh, this is great. This is what I signed up for. Wow. So it will be interesting to see how this suspension deals with just all this rattling. The one thing different about our adventure versus an adventure you might have is we actually stop quite a lot to start and stop cameras, clean cameras off, all that kind of stuff. And that does give an opportunity for the suspension to cool itself down. If you're just blasting through this for like an hour straight, your vehicle won't have that opportunity. If you're interested in an adventure like this and you don't have a vehicle this capable, it doesn't mean you can't do it. You just really have to keep your speeds down. Because we have Kevlar reinforced sidewalls, thanks to these being all-terrain tires, and we have a lot of sidewall at that. It means I can go a little bit faster, which means I can get through more of this journey each day. I mean, slow is fine, but when you're putting in 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 100, 200 miles, every mile per hour can make the difference between getting to your destination before dark or not. We're supposed to go left here. What's that caution sign say? Caution, watch for hazards, stumps, falling trees, all of that. I love the signs they have here. It's on descents like this that we have to be really careful because there are some really big rocks in the way. And the last thing I want to do is put all the weight of the vehicle and the engine and everything in the front on, a sharp rock with these tires. Because, yeah, they're reinforced. Yeah, we have lots of sidewall, but there are limits to every tire. Now, both these vehicles do have full-size spares. They're not exactly matching, but that's okay on a vehicle like this. All-wheel drive vehicles, you always have to be really careful about having 4 matched tires. Vehicles that are 4-wheel drive, as referred to here in the U.S., which would be more of like your traditional old-school, part-time system, those ones it doesn't matter. I bet this gets really sketchy when it rains hard, because there are some big cutouts along the way. Off-road suspension is also designed to take more abuse, so it's less likely to overheat in conditions like this, where you're just going, hill after rock after hill after rock, and all this rough stuff. Now, I can't get too excited though. Around the next corner could be a ditch, could be a boulder, could be a tree. Whee! Oh, what's this? Coming out of the forest. Oh, now that's pretty. Wildflowers, rolling hills. This is awesome. So you might be noticing these white stakes with the green dots on it. That means that you can run all vehicles on it, including trucks. Some other areas are marked for side-by-sides or motorcycles only. To say, this thing's been pretty comfortable. I have no complaints about this journey so far. I am really, really liking this truck. And yeah, it is true, this truck is not exactly all new, even though it looks new on the outside and the inside. The underpinnings are of the old Frontier. So it really didn't make any improvements in that department. And the downside with using the old Frontier is you still have leaf springs in the back. It still jiggles all over the place in the rear. But that's not unique to the Frontier. Even the F-150 still has leaf springs on certain models, and yeah, it jiggles in the back as well. That Toyota, yeah, leaf springs. I mean, leaf springs have a place. Now, I expect the new Tacoma TRD Pro coming out next year will probably have a modified multi-link in the back, and they'll have coil springs. But it's too early to say. We just don't know. I would only take a journey like this with a vehicle that I know is capable because of the unknown. This is basically a scouting trip because I've never been on this course. Now that I've been on it, I know what vehicles I can bring to it. And I would bring something like a RAV4 TRD off-road. That would be just fine on this, at least so far. But the important thing, and I think the reason why a lot of people gravitate to vehicles like this Pro-4X, like that TRD Pro, is they are uniquely set up for the unknown. You want to go to Death Valley and get out alive, one of these trucks is a good choice to do it. Do you need it? Not necessarily. Oh, we got ourselves a mud bog up here.
One thing I do notice about the BDR in Washington, it's very easy. Now, there may be sections that I have not done yet because there are a couple different legs that I have not yet discovered. But on those sections that I've done, it's not too hard. Like, you could do this with a cross track or an Outback or anything like that, or a smaller like crossover. You could easily do it. It's just you got to have the right tools. You got to have a spare tire, maybe a tire inflation kit, like a compressor, things like that. But what's different about Washington's backcountry discovery route to Colorado's is there's spots that are like this, but then all of a sudden you'll go up high elevation, come down, and then you go into the mountains again, but you're like in the mountains. So those are like above 12,000 feet, which is just crazy that you can even drive that high. But that's where it definitely differentiates from the Washington BDRs. The Colorado one has a ton of elevation. I mean, we were sleeping some nights at like 10,000 feet, which is just unheard of here, especially. So it's definitely different than Colorado's BDR, but the Washington one's fun because a lot of people can access it.
I mean, it wasn't what we were here to test out. We wanted to test the advanced off-road systems, but man, this is fun. And boosh, oh. 35 here. Nope, 30. Whoa, that was smooth. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Now let's see how Nick does.
All right, so 30 miles an hour. Let's see if we can get a little bit of air. All right, here we go.
Both vehicles, super smooth. They both did great. Now that's not extreme, but that's probably more than most people are gonna actually do on forest roads. So here we've pulled off for a little wheeling action. Now this isn't extreme, but it should give us an opportunity to test out the 4 low systems. So I'm gonna go ahead and first approach this with 4 high. I have nothing else turned on. And I'm also really curious what our breakover looks like. Now you might notice that my front plate is dented because when I was transiting, I kind of hit something, but that is what skid plates are for. Okay, so it's trying to brake. It's actually doing individual wheel braking, which is nice. I'm now just gonna listen to see if we're gonna scrape. I got over. Oh, we're rubbing a little bit. I rubbed a little bit in the middle. Okay, well that's what it looks like with 4 high. So let's do that again. Ooh, I actually rubbed quite a lot on that. Rear backup braking is automatically getting angry with me. Okay, so this time I'm gonna try it in 4 low and just see if it's any easier. I have to shift into neutral. Box is shifting. Did it shift? Okay, we're now in 4 low. Now let's see what these systems do to make this a more capable vehicle. And I am definitely scraping on the dirt there, I can tell. So going up here. Oh wow, that wheel braking is very strong. Oof, I'm a little concerned about scraping too much here, so I'm gonna actually redo it, but I'm gonna go a little bit left. Okay, kind of go up a little bit more on that lip. There we go. Use those 4 low climbing abilities. I got my front camera, it's messy. I should probably wipe that off. And there we go. And up and over, easy. Now let's try to find something a little harder. And I'm curious also how well that Toyota does. I know it'll do fine, but let's look at it anyway.
We have a little obstacle here right off to the side of the course that may test our off-road system. So Ryan just did in the Pro-4X. He slipped a little bit. You can see the system's kicking in and helping him out. We do think there's a little bit of a longer wheelbase on there, and he was high centering in the center or right in the middle because there is kind of a hump in the middle. So we're going to take the Tacoma up because we think that this is going to have a little bit better ground clearance. We're going to take it up. We're just in 4 high right now, nothing on, and we're just going to see what it does. So let's take it up. Let's see. Approaching. Nothing yet. Oh my gosh. Not even the slightest wheel spin. Wow. All right, well that was uneventful. Jeez. That answers our argument. I think we know which one's better. Obviously that's not that hard of a challenge, but it is just nice to kind of get off the dirt road and see if there is any articulation going on, and I don't know, that's too easy.
It was too easy for you. I mean, I slipped and yeah, anyway, take your camera. Let's go find something harder.
Yeah, let's go.
And I love the view of that Tacoma in the back, in the rear view mirror. That is quite a sight. I mean, that's a good looking truck. I do like the way this Frontier looks, but I understand it's polarizing. Not everybody's into it. That's fine. When I posted this to Instagram, somebody posted, this truck already looks like it's 10 years old. I wouldn't quite go that far. I think it looks a little more modern. I like the LED touches on the front, but I kind of get what they're saying. So we're continuing our driving off of the BDR. This is just a little side route so that we can really test out how good this four-wheel drive system is and how it compares against the Toyota, because that's what you want to see. And the BDR Trail just didn't have anything that was really hard enough on the trail itself. As we proceed up the climb, grip, it's finding it. I'm really actually curious if these Nerf bars with the steps are going to drag. Oh, they're rubbing. Oh, they literally were just rubbing the dirt. It was a kiss upon the earth, but we can get over it. I gotta watch those.
Ryan caught those Nerf bars again, or those running boards. I knew that was gonna happen. Why would they put running boards that low on an off-road vehicle?
Now this looks like a challenge worthy of these machines. Now it's not terribly difficult, but it should really put the ability for this vehicle to put traction down to the test. I'm already in 4 low, and with this vehicle, there's not a lot else I can do. I can turn on the rear locker, which I might do. These rocks look really sharp, and I'm a little concerned about puncturing the tires. Oh boy. Yeah, I think this could make it up with the brake vectoring, but I just don't want to risk getting a flat out here in the middle of nowhere. And the brake vectoring does rely on a little bit of spinning of the tires. With that rear locker on, it makes that they both turn at the same pace, regardless of traction. They just turn. Oh, there's a hill holder on this thing. My foot's off the brake and it holds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, holds a very long time. Okay. Okay, well, let's do it. So I'm going to turn on the front camera. There we go, so I can kind of see what's going on. Listen for any scratching or dinging. I can kind of see where that big rock is right in the middle. I don't want to put a tire on that because it's a really pointy rock. I also don't want to put the vehicle on top. Like, I don't want to puncture anything on the underside, but I think we have plenty of ground clearance with 9.4 inches. Oh yeah, and up we go. Easy. Love it. Rear lockers are awesome.
All right, so like Ryan said, he had his rear locker on. I'm not going to turn anything on right now. I'm just in 4 low. So we're going to see if I can get up this without the locker on. It's kind of a cheat code, but if I have issues, then I'll turn it on. But I'm going to try to take a hard line. I don't want to carry too much speed. All right. Okay, so supposedly these tires are Kevlar lined, and so hopefully they're a little more puncture resistant than a normal all-terrain that doesn't have that. So, because there's some sharp rocks on here, so I don't want to puncture a tire, because that would be a lot of work to change a tire out here. Not impossible, but a lot of work. So I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna turn crawl control on right as I start going downhill, and pressing it, and you can hear it going. Super violent. Jeez. All right, I have no brakes on right now, and we are nose down. I don't know if you can see that out my window, but holy cow. I got nothing. I mean, wow, that is so impressive. It is quite violent. Wow. Wow, that is incredible. I mean, we're not even registering on mile per hour. We're just tiptoeing down this dang cliff. All right, uneventful again. So up is uneventful, down is uneventful.
So now we're going to try going down that same hill. It's really steep and probably a good test of the hill descent control system. So hill descent control, if you don't know, it uses individual wheel braking to keep the vehicle not just, it doesn't try to prevent it from sliding so much as it tries to keep it straight. So the wheel that the direction that your wheel's going in is how the brakes try to work together with you to go straight down the hill in a very controlled manner. If you just put your foot on the brake without a hill descent control system, really all it's trying to do is slow the vehicle down without slipping. That said, there's also stability control layers on top of all the other stuff in most cars. So if you are on like a, on a highway or something, you slam the brakes on, if it tries to shimmy, it'll straighten itself out. Think of this as a low speed specialized version of that. I cannot see a thing. Let's turn the camera on. Okay, he's already all the way down there. And I am going to turn on the hill descent control system right there. I'm going to turn off my rear locker because that's no longer necessary. And I'm just going to let the system slowly take me down the hill. Oh, whoa. That's a little faster than I like, and the back is shimmying sideways. Not a very good system. Sorry, Nissan. I like everything about this truck. I do not like that hill descent control system. Whoa, that was a little, that was more stressful than it should have been. I would have done better with brakes, probably. Yeesh. So today wasn't that extreme. It's simply, it is too early in the season to really be able to hit any of the more advanced off-road areas. Now, granted, never actually been on this particular trail, so I didn't know what to expect, but I was glad to have something like the Pro-4X because I knew if I hit a down tree or if I hit, rocks or a washout or something like that, I would have no problem getting through it, most likely. Nick, how was the Toyota today?
It was good. The truck is so capable that it's kind of hard to really test it, if that makes any sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like early season, but it's not. Like it's June, like it's summertime.
The weather has been really weird in the Pacific Northwest so far. By this time, usually everything's dried out and open, but we are actually getting rained on right now in Eastern Washington, and that's not normal for June.
Yeah, no, it's not normal. And like a lot of the spots where we could really test like the off-road capability, like crawling type stuff, it's all about 50% open, and then there's snow, and then there's gates shutting everything off.
Right,
so,
and officially they're not even opening this season until June 15th, which is still a week away. Yeah. We won't have these trucks at that point. That one's getting shipped away, and this one, well, we already have it. They're not going to give it to us again, not for a while.
I'm excited to see the comments saying we didn't test these vehicles, but in all reality,
totally fair.
this is about all we could do right now.
And to be also totally fair, this is what most people will do with trucks. You go out on an adventure, you are ready for anything, but you're mostly blazing on trail roads like this. To speak to that, the suspension on this truck was better than I expected. It was a little bit springier than the Toyota, I feel. I've driven thousands of miles in one of those. I also felt like the back was a little looser. Now, granted, it's a truck. It's expecting to have stuff in the back. This one doesn't. I understand that. I still feel that this one's is a little looser than that one when it comes to actually blazing down the trails. What do you think?
Yeah, and that can all be down to the tuning of the shocks too. Like these are TRD tuned shocks for this truck. Those may have just be off-the-shelf Bilsteins and they just throw them on there.
We don't know.
So, yeah.
But I overall, I am impressed with this truck. And I would say that which one would I buy? Well, I've said it before, I would never buy one of those because I don't fit. I don't feel comfortable in one of these. I would personally buy one of these or a Colorado. Nick, you?
It's tough. It's really tough. I mean, I'm like the same height as you. I think I have a little bit longer legs, so it's really tough for me to fit in here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever get myself to buy a Nissan
I know,
truck,
that's the tough one, isn't it?
That's the issue.
This one holds its value like nothing else.
Right. I mean, you buy this and you make money. It's
right
magical.
now at least. Yeah. So it's a weird time. And on that note, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We have more real off-road adventures coming up soon as we can get into the off-road areas. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit.
I'm Nick Capetto.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again right here.